Welcome to NBZ Research, your source for deep dive crypto analysis. In today's report, we are breaking down Near Protocol, one of the most technically advanced Layer 1 blockchains in the space. This is an independently researched report by NBZ. Let's get into it.
All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking this executive dossier on Near Protocol. We're going to systematically break down 5 key areas. First up, a high-level project overview, then we'll look at the team and their backers, check out some real-world use cases, dive into the Whitepaper architecture and scalability roadmap, and finally, look at their rapidly expanding community. Let's get started.
Okay, let's dive right into this with Section 1, the project overview.
So Near Protocol isn't just some recent overnight experiment, right? It was actually founded back in 2018, and the mainnet launched in April 2020 out of Switzerland. Looking at these high-level specs, you can really see their core mission shining through. They want to make blockchain essentially invisible to the user, and they do this by utilizing WebAssembly. Near lets developers write smart contracts in everyday familiar programming languages like JavaScript and Rust. For you, this is a huge deal, because it means traditional web developers can easily jump in and build better apps much faster. Plus, they've aggressively positioned themselves for the future as the premier execution layer for AI agents, allowing those agents to own assets and transact freely on-chain.
You know, before Near came along, legacy blockchains basically suffered from this holy trinity of failures. Terrible speeds, astronomical fees, and honestly, a horrific user experience. Well, Near was engineered from the ground up to fix exactly that. The slow speeds, solved by their nightshade sharding. High fees are practically eliminated. And that poor usability, solved. Instead of forcing you to memorize a chaotic 40-character string of random letters and numbers for a wallet, Near uses human-readable addresses, like nasir.near. It literally acts and feels just like an email address or a standard web domain. It's a total game changer.
Moving right along to Section 2, let's talk about the founders and their top-tier backers, because ambitious tech requires world-class engineering pedigrees.
If you want to talk about massive authority, just look at these credentials. Co-founder Ilya Palasukin isn't your average crypto developer. He came straight from Google Research working on TensorFlow. In fact, get this, he's actually a co-author of the seminal Transformer architecture. Yes, the exact same tech that powers ChatGPT and modern AI today. And his partner, Alexander Skadanov, brings some serious database architecture experience from Microsoft and Memskew. He is a deep expert in massive scalability and distributed systems. So this isn't a team just learning on the job. We are looking at foundational architects of modern tech.
And naturally, when you have founders of that caliber, this is the result. $542 million. That is an absolutely astonishing amount of capital raised across 8 funding rounds from 91 different investors. I mean, let that sink in for a second. Among its direct competitors in the Layer 1 space, this massive war chest actually ranks near number 1 in total funding.
And the names backing this project, they're just as heavy-hitting as the dollar amount. We're talking absolute titans of venture capital here. Andreessen Horowitz, Pantera Capital, Coinbase Ventures, Tiger Global, and even corporate arms like Samsung Next. But what's really fascinating to me is how they're managing all this capital. As of April 2026, Near is doing all of this with a highly focused, super lean workforce of just 152 employees. Talk about elite talent density.
Okay, Section 3, real-world application use cases. Let's shift our focus from the builders to the actual adoption.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is it proves Near is far more than just some theoretical concept. We can methodically track 8 distinct verticals actively running on the network today. We're talking autonomous AI bots on the Near AI agent market, DeFi protocols like Ref Finance, and gaming on platforms like PlayEmber. They're pushing boundaries in cross-border payments and chain abstraction with Near Intents, which, by the way, connects across more than 35 different blockchains. They even power move-to-earn apps like Sweat Economic, decentralized social platforms like KaiKai, and AI-powered travel apps.
And guys, these aren't ghost towns. The sheer scale of these decentralized applications is honestly staggering. Just look at the social app KaiKai. It boasts 31.7 million monthly active users all by itself. Sweat Economy has 1.6 million, and PlayEmber has 500,000. Plus, that payments and chain abstraction layer, Near Intents, it has already processed over $20 billion in value. For Web3, those are massive, massive adoption metrics.
So when you aggregate all of that activity, you get this. 46 million total monthly active users as of mid-2025. That officially makes Near the second most used blockchain in the entire world. They are processing over 8 million transactions every single day.
And the absolute best part? They're doing it at an average fee of just 0.2 of a cent. To put that into perspective, processing a complex smart contract on Near is literally cheaper than sending a standard SMS text message.
All right, moving on to Section 4, the Whitepaper Architecture and Scalability Roadmap. Let's look at the underlying blueprints making these numbers possible.
This entire network is built on 4 master pillars of architecture. First, we have usability, achieved through progressive security and easy single sign-on mechanics. Second is scalability, relying on nightshade sharding to split the network into parallel shards, which theoretically allows for unlimited transaction throughput. Third is decentralization. They maintain this with an elegant mix of thresholded proof of stake, secret hidden validators to stop coordinated attacks, and permissionless fisherman nodes. And finally, sustainable economics. They balance a 5% maximum inflation rate with a deflationary fee-burning mechanism and brilliantly route 30% of contract rewards straight back to the developers actually building the apps.
But what really gives this white paper credibility is their history of actually shipping the code. You can trace their flawless, on-time execution of this highly complex sharding roadmap. I mean, they've hit every milestone. Nightshade Phase 0 in 2021, Phase 2 in 2024, Nightshade 2.0 in 2025, and all of this is leading right up to their most ambitious upgrade yet, dynamic resharding in June 2026. This is basically the holy grail of crypto. Automatic, infinite scaling where the network just creates new shards on the fly based on demand, totally without human intervention.
And that brings us to our final section for today, Section 5, the expanding Near community.
I really think this number deserves to be reiterated. 46 million monthly active users as of May 2025. You know, in an industry that's so often dominated by bots and empty hype, Near is being driven by raw, organic user adoption. This is genuine product-market fit on a global scale.
And this brilliantly illustrates the point. When we look at the broader market hierarchy for weekly active users, Near Protocol sits at an incredible 16 million. By contrast, Solana, which is widely considered a massive giant in this space, sits at 14.8 million. Seeing those metrics side by side like this really clarifies Near's quiet but absolute market dominance.
To sustain that level of dominance, they are aggressively funding their ecosystem expansion. Their governance is highly transparent, actively transitioning to the community-led Near Digital Collective. This is structured with a House of Merit, a Council of Advisors, and a Transparency Commission where every decision is recorded on-chain. But just look at the capital being deployed to builders. Over $100 million in grants allocated to more than 600 startups in 2025 alone. Plus, they've got collaborations with over 50 universities globally, and they're running 3 accelerator programs this year heavily focused on AI and chain abstraction. They aren't just sitting around waiting for the future, they are actively funding it.
So with limitless dynamic sharding on the horizon and an AI-focused war chest backing them up, the ultimate question is, has Near quietly already won the Layer 1 war while everyone else was looking the other way? That's a wrap on Part 1 of the NBZ Near Protocol Research Report. All data in this report was sourced from verified and up-to-date public sources. This is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Stay tuned for Part 2, where we cover partnerships, tokenomics, technology, competitors, recent news, and investment risks. See you in the next one.